everybody, and welcome to the channel. Out of ammo, out of time. I'm your host, as always, Krabby Terror 8, and here we are in... Is this part 14, I think? I think part 14. I always forget which one, but anyway, of season 2 of the Investigator games, here with everybody's favourite shaman, Akachi Onyele. Yes, and I hope in these difficult times everybody who is watching is staying well and staying healthy and is social distancing. I know it's a difficult time for everybody. I haven't left my house in a couple of weeks, and I hope that my videos are providing some kind of distraction whilst we all self-isolate at this time. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, I welcome you heartily. The Investigator games, well, it's like the Hunger Games. I take every single investigator, true solo, and I put them through, in the first season, The Gathering, and now we're in the Midnight Masks, and depending on how they go into a league table like this. Yes, this is the league table for season 2 with the carryover points from the first season, and we can see so far that Roland Banks is doing very, very well so far. I was hoping that Safina would do reasonably okay. She did kind of okay, but it was a little bit disappointing last week. Spoilers. Yes, Akachi also did very well in the first season. And as Mystics go, I think she's very strong, and I'm hoping that she will do well here in the Midnight Masks. At the moment, she's standing outside the house, waiting to start on this Arkham morning. Yes, but with the Midnight Masks, it's always hard to know how things are going to go, because things can kind of get derailed very quickly. So anyway, we will see how Akachi goes. Now, spoilers, if you're new to Arkham Horror the card game, I would heartily encourage you to watch some introductory videos. I assume you know how to play. Also, if you haven't seen the first season, I would encourage you to go back and watch those first, because that would give more context. But if you want to stay and just watch this, that's perfectly fine as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cover off Akachi. That's much for my needs as much as anyone else. I forget what these investigators actually do, and there's more investigators being added all the time. So yes, here we have Akachi Onyele. She is a shaman, and if we have a look at her stat line, the thing that really pops out is a massive 5 willpower. So she really is into spells in a big, big way. That's great. Her fight and evasion, agility, sorry, her strength and agility, I say that. Her strength and agility are average, and her intellect is below average in terms of finding clues and things. So this immediately tells you that as a mystic, you're much better with Akachi to rely on spells rather than other methods to get you what you need in terms of clues, evasion, whatever it is. It really is better to rely on spells, and indeed her strengths support that very much, because basically you get an additional charge, which doesn't sound like much, but it actually is really significant. So any assets with charges, they enter play with an additional charge on them. And if you get the Elder Side effect, not only do you get a +1, but you can add a charge. So this really does extend the life of spells, because that's one of the things about mystics, is that their spells are more finite in some senses than your skills, if you like. So you want as many of those as you can. So with Akachi, that is always less of an issue. So that's very welcome. I will journey to the lands beyond. I do not fear them. Yeah, she's pretty fearless. In terms of her mental and physical abilities, her mental ability, as you would expect from a mystic, is high at 8. I mean, it's not the highest, but it's pretty strong. Whereas her physical is at 6, which is not terrible, but it's not that great either. So she's got to keep an eye on that physical strength in that way, so that doesn't sort of whittle away. That can happen sometimes in the Midnight Masks if you get a couple too many of the old is it the Hunter? Not the Hunter. There's a card anyway, though you kind of give up a clue or you take a hit. That kind of thing can really start to affect that if you're not careful. So that's Akachi, pretty strong. Now, what I've done here is I've made some changes. Now, the other thing I didn't mention is that all of the investigators start with their standard Fantasy Flight Game starter deck, which are never ideal. They're never optimized. And so what I've done is I've made some changes. She had 7 experience to play with. So I've made some changes here. You can see what I've done. Essentially, really kind of plug the holes and things. So rather than getting higher level cards, I've made sure that she's really well taken care of from a spell perspective, particularly with the Midnight Masks in mind, because Midnight Masks is all about getting clues. So as you can see, I've added an extra Holy Rosary. I've added an extra Shriveling. I've put in Sixth Sense for obvious reasons, so that she doesn't have to rely on, your flashlights and whatnot to find clues. I've added an Arcane Initiate because finding spells is really important. I've kept in the Astral Travel because travelling around the board in Midnight Masks is actually quite an important piece, much more than, say, something like the Gathering. I've added in a Drawn to the Flame because, again, getting clues, it's all about that. I took out Forbidden Knowledge, I took out Arcane Studies. Arcane Studies relies on you having a reasonable amount of money, and I'm not sure you have that. I took out the Blinding Light, I took out the Fearless, I took out the Archaic Glyphs, and I took out the Alchemical Transmutation. So really just trying to lean into the core things that you would kind of expect in a basic kind of Mystic deck, to be honest. We can then I suppose I could have added in more offensive sorts of spells rather than just 2 Shriveling. So we are kind of relying on our Shriveling more than anything else. However, as you know, in Midnight Masks, whilst there is a requirement to do some fighting, it's actually getting the clues is more important. So I was thinking about that. Perhaps for the next scenario, that's when we may need some more offensive spells. So that was my thinking. Let me know what you think. And also Paranoia is in there. That was her weakness that she drew for the Gathering. So there we go. There's Akachi's hand. Pretty good. I think we'll do pretty well if we can get the Sixth Sense and the Holy Rosary out relatively early, and we've got Shriveling on board. I think we're going to be pretty unstoppable, particularly with a 6 willpower. Even the Masked Hunter is going to be trembling before us. So we'll see how we go. So there we go. I think we're all set up. I'll just check. Yeah, we're set up here. And we're also set up here in turn 1. So I think all that's left to do really is I'll just shuffle up the Encounter deck and shuffle up the Cultist deck. And I've also already set out South Side and Downtown, so they're already set out and ready to go as well. Yes, so I think we're all ready to go. So let's just read out the agenda in the Act deck, and then we can get going. Agenda 1A, Predator or Prey. Lita seems convinced of a conspiracy within the city of Arkham. She believes that a secret cult serves the ghouls that live in the crypts beneath the city, and that several of the cult's prominent members are scattered throughout Arkham. As you begin searching for them, you can't shake the feeling that you too are being hunted. Action, resign. You don't want to risk taking too long, so you head for safety. I wonder if anybody has ever resigned as Legend 1A. It's all too much. Act deck. Uncovering the conspiracy. You have one night to find the members of this cult and unveil their plan. The more members of the cult you can find and interrogate or beat up before midnight, the better. Investigators can spend 2 clues as an action per investigator as a group to draw the top card of the cultist deck. Objective: find as many unique cultist enemies as you can. Add them to the victory display. If there are 6 unique cultist enemies in the victory display, advance. Note: all 6 of them are in... Not all 6 of them. Note: all 6 of them are in the cultist deck. Note: not all 6 of them are in the cultist deck. Wonder where the other one could be. Okay, so I think we're all ready to go. Yes. So let's just go back. Actually, no. We've got to wait for the horn. Oh, there it is. There is the horn. Yes, and the crowd goes wild. Yes, we are ready to go in the investigator games. So yes. Here we go. All right, Akachi is up and running. She's at the house. Okay, let's draw our hand of 5. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? Well, we want a 6th sense. We want a shriveling. We want a holy rosary. And please, if we could also get a drawn to the flame. And it would be really, really nice to also get an arcane initiate. We get all of those things. And maybe a and also a emergency cash to pay for it all. That would be perfect. Let's see what we get. Okay, so we start off with, well, we can't use paranoia, so that I'll just put that to the side. I'll draw another card. So what do we get? What have we drawn here? Oh, bloody hell! 2 flashlights, no 6th sense. That's actually a bit of a bugger. Okay, well, we want the shriveling. So we're keeping that. And we're definitely keeping drawn to the flame. I'd really like to throw in both of the flashlights. But the horrible thing might be is just say we throw in all the flashlights and then we get we get no 6th sense. That would be a bugger. Unexpected Courage is also a good card. But I'm thinking at this stage I'm going to keep the flashlight just in case. I'm going to draw 2 more cards, and hopefully we draw into some good cards. Let's have a look. Oh, and there's our 6th sense. We didn't need the flashlight. After all, bugger. Well, never mind. Okay. Well, we can keep the flashlight maybe for something else. So, maybe I didn't need... Yeah, anyway, it's always these things. Did we need both flashlights and 6th sense? Well, we might have drawn the 6th sense, and then we would have been reliant on the flashlight. We've also got the knife, which is kind of useless in a sense, but at the same time, it's maybe better to use the knife on on one of the weaker cultists, what are they called, arcane initiate, rather than using up our shriveling. So there we go. There are our 5 cards. Not too bad. No arcane initiate, but we do have a shriveling and we do have a drawn to the flame, so that's pretty good. All right. Let's move these. Let's move these back. Let's flip that over. Let's shuffle that up. Okay. All right. So here we are at the... I did the right thing. I didn't turn this over till I'd done that, but we all know what's on here. So here we are at the house. It's a 2-shroud location, and we can also draw a card and gain a resource should we want to, which I'm sure we will. So what shall we do here? What should we do? Well, it's probably going to be a bit of a setup phase first up. So I think for our first action, we will spend 3. And we'll bring out 6th sense. So at least we can look for a clue. I think that's our first action. Our second action, I'm going to avail myself of the facilities here at the house, and I'm going to take a resource, and I'm going to draw a card. And we draw into perception. Okay. Not sure that we're going to use that, but yes, anyway. And for our third action, I think what we will do is... now, we could bring out a shriveling, Do we really need shriveling at the moment? Probably not. So what I'm going to do for my third action is investigate. Because clues, it's all about getting clues in the Midnight Masks. So we can investigate using head. Oh yeah, that's the other thing we didn't get. Yeah, you're all screaming at me going, what about the Holy Rosary? That's right, we didn't get a Holy Rosary. Bugger. Hope we get one. Okay, investigate using head. So that means that gives us a 5, and I think it's a 2, if I'm not much mistaken. Yes. So we're doing a 5 on a 2 using 6 cents. A 5 on a 2. Chaos bag gives us a -1, which means we pass and we get the first clue. Yay! There we go. First clue is ours. Okay, so far so good in the Midnight Masks. So we just setup phase. We spent 3 to bring out the 6 cents. We then availed ourselves of an action to take a resource and draw a card, and we drew into perception. We now have 3 resources. And then we investigated using 6 cents, and we indeed succeeded. So next time, I think we'll definitely get the shriveling out. And I'm thinking we travel up to Rivertown, and maybe we use perception to because Rivertown's got a 1 shroud. So why don't we use the perception? Because then we can draw a card. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. So that's the plan for next time. Okay, so that's the end of the investigation phase. We move into the enemy phase. Thank goodness there are no enemies or enemies to speak of. I used to do that a lot, didn't I? Enema phase. I seem to have stopped that. So yes, we move from the enema phase into the upkeep phase. Hello? Yep, into the upkeep phase. Thank you, Tabletop Simulator. It sometimes goes a bit squiffy. So we take a resource. We'll flip these over. We'll draw a card. We'll draw into the Arcane Initiate. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's actually quite good, because when it's time for the witching hour, we can bring out the Arcane Initiate and maybe get another shriveling, because it's always helpful. So that's not too bad, although the Holy Rosary would be most welcome at the moment. Okay, so that's the end of the upkeep phase. So we move into the inaugural Mythos phase, everybody's phase that everybody loves and adores. Here we go. Turn 2. First doom is down on the table. Let's shuffle up the encounter deck. And this is where everything can go haywire. Because I just realized I was kind of assuming we won't be getting something where we have to evade, and I haven't brought out the shriveling. So, bugger. It's kind of messed up my... I hate the way it does that. It's not a big deal. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see what the encounter deck has. And the encounter deck starts with the Wizard of the Order. The Wizard of the Order. We haven't seen the Wizard of the Order for a while. Spawned at any empty location. He has retaliate. At the end of the Mythos phase, place a doom on the Wizard of the Order. He's a 4/2/2. We've got to get rid of this guy. We can't have him hanging around. He is bad news. Okay, so we will put the Wizard of the Order at Rivertown, obviously. And indeed, it's the end of the Mythos phase, so he gets a doom on him, and he just keeps getting doom, which is just not acceptable. We've got to kill him, and we're going to be using our good old shriveling to do that. Okay. Although he's a 4, isn't he? Or a 5. Okay, well, okay. So that's the end of the Mythos phase. So we move into our investigation phase. Okay, well, things have changed a little bit because of the Wizard of the Order. So, first action, we are going to spend 3. And we're going to bring out our shriveling. Now, it says 4 here, but of course, we start with an additional charge on us, which is just Awesome. So we start with 5 because it's normally 4 charges. Yes, so we start with 5 charges. So that's the first thing. The second action is we will move up to Rivertown, which means the Wizard of the Order is now engaged with us. And for our third action, we're going to go ahead and shrivel the Wizard of the Order. So that means we're a 5 on a 4, which is a -1 or better, which isn't great. So I have a choice here. I could use the Arcane Initiate, or I could use Drawn to the Flame to boost. Now, I think of the two, I think I want to keep Drawn to the Flame because it's such a handy card. And there is another Arcane Initiate, so I'm going to throw in the Arcane Initiate to give us a 6. Do I make it a 7? No, I think we just go with a 6 versus a 4. So we're going to shrivel. 6v4. Chaos Bag. I think that's right, but we take, I think that's -2. Yes. And place Doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Well, we do that, but he's gone. So there aren't any other cultist enemies. So that was a good outcome. 6v2. There we go. And he's dead. Woo! Well done, Akachi. So there we go. Now, yes, before I forget, of course, I drew a cultist. So we take a horror. The horror. Okay, so there you go. That was pretty successful. We brought out shriveling. We got 5 charges. We moved to Rivertown. We then shriveled the Wizard of the Order to death. However, we took a horror in the process, but no biggie. Okay, so there we go. So so that kind of derailed our plans a little bit. So the next time, what we'll do is we'll get this clue, and then we'll get the first cultist out, so we know where we need to go and what we need to do. That's the next thing to do. Okie dokie, not too bad. All right, so we move into the enema phase. There are no enemas to speak of. So we move into upkeep, we take a resource, and we draw a card, and we draw into, yes, the Holy Rosemary. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, that just makes our shriveling that much better. And indeed our 6 cents. So that's a no-brainer. We will have that on the board next time. Brilliant. Okay, so let's move into the... Oh, let's just move those. That's really nice. That's really, really good. Okay, let's move into the good old Mythos phase. Let's shift up to here. Where are we? We're already in turn 3. There are 2 Doom down on the table. It is now time to see what horrors the encounter deck has for us. And the encounter deck has Wings of Darkness. Yes, well, this card can be really handy sometimes. It's test 4. We are a 3, so it's likely we're going to just have to take 1 damage and 1 horror and stay where we are. It's just going to, yeah, it's like taking a damage on a horror. So let's go ahead and do that. So we get a skull, which I think is a 0, I think. Minus its numbers, yep, so it's a 0, so we fail. Which means we take another horror and a damage, and we stay where we are in Rivertown. So there we go. So, you know, it's not the end of the world, but you see, this starts to ratchet up. Things can start to get difficult. Okay, let's move into the good old investigation phase. First thing we're going to do is spend our 2 and bring out the Holy Rosary. Now things are really, really pumping. And that gives them a bit more of a horror soak, which is always great. So that's the first action. Second action. Now this is a Shroud of 1 here at Rivertown, if I'm not much mistaken. It is a 1 at Rivertown. There is something unsettling about the water of the Miskatonic River tonight. It ripples and bubbles as though something is moving beneath the surface. Ooh. Okay, so 1 Shroud location. So what I'm going to do is, normally I would use 6 cents, but actually I am going to... Did I spend my 2 resources? No. because I only had 2 resources. What I'm going to do is I am going to investigate, but I'm going to investigate with perception, because why not? So that's going to give us a 4 versus a 1, -3 or better. Chaos Bag gives us a -2. That's the second cultist we've gotten. Place 1 doom on the nearest cultist enemy, but there aren't any, so that was lucky. It's a good time to get those ones. And I succeed. So we take the clue, and we draw a card for our... Yep. So we draw a card, and we get the other shriveling. Very nice. That's good. Okay, so this means that we can take on the Masked Hunter. We can take on Wolfman Drew. So that's good. Okay, that's great. All right. Okay, that's our second action. For our third action, let's spend these 2 clues. If Tabletop Simulator will allow me to. Let's spend these 2 clues. Let's put them over here. And let's get the first cultist on the board. So, who's it going to be? Oh, what am I doing? All right, let's just draw it into our hand. First cultist is Ruth Turner. Good. Okay, that's good. Except she needs evasion. I think we're going to have to beat her up then, aren't we? Yes, Ruth Turner goes at the hospital. Yeah, so you need an evasion of 5. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. But she's only got a 2 fight. So we can spend a couple of turns just shriveling her to death. So, or shriveling her into submission, I should say. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll pop over and do that via Sasside. So that's what we're going to head. We can't head straight there. So the other way is we could go to Miskatonic University and use Drawn to the Flame to get 2 clues. Maybe I should do that, actually. Go to Miskatonic, because it's a 4 shroud, get the 2 clues with Drawn to the Flame, and then head to Ruth Turner. That might be the thing to do. Okay, so there we go. That was our go. Pretty successful. We brought out Holy Rosary. We then successfully investigated and drew it into a shriveling, and then we brought out our first cultist, which is Ruth Turner, in the hospital. So next time I'm going to use my Drawn to the Flame and get those 2 clues at Miskatonic University and get a victory point. Time is of the essence, and victory points mean everything in the Investigator games. Okay, so we'll move to the enemy phase. There is an enemy, of course, but they're not doing anything. Ruth's just happily doing her autopsies down in the hospital. So we move into upkeep. We get 1 resource, and that's the thing we've got to think about for shriveling. We need extra resources, and we draw a card. And what do we draw into? We draw into another Drawn to the Flame. Okay, well, that's good. So, yes. Cool, Magul. Let me just flip these. There we go. Okay, let's move into the Mythos phase. Let's shift up here. So now we're in turn 4. There are 3 doom down. We are halfway through. So we're halfway through the first agenda, and we haven't got any cultist. Well, we've got a cultist on the table, but we haven't got a cultist yet. So we need to lift our game and get going, because time is running out. But before we do that, let's see what horrors will be on us from the encounter deck. And it's a Crypt Chill. You know what? I've forgotten that Crypt Chill was in this bloody deck. Okay. Well, it's test 4, and we're on the 6. So if we had to discard an asset, we would probably... Ooh, we might... Can we... No, that's a spell. I think we have to discard the... Yeah. It has to be an asset, doesn't it? Yeah. We've only got 1 asset, and that's the good old Holy Rosary. Man, I wish we brought the knife now. Okay. Well, it's a 6 versus a 4, so let's just go ahead and... because I don't... Do I really want to sacrifice a Drawn to the Flame? No. Oh, no! Crypt Chill! Oh, boy. Okay, we lose the Holy Rosary. That is just... that's annoying. All right. Anyway, can't be helped. Even if we had thrown in Drawn to the Flame and been a 7, we still would have failed. So we would have had to have thrown in all our Drawn to the Flames. So maybe in hindsight, I could have put out the knife or the flashlight, but I didn't. So too bad. Okay, no point in lamenting. There is another Holy Rosary in there, so if we're lucky, that will pop up. But that's a bit annoying. Okay, so we're in the investigation phase. Yes. So what we're going to do here is first action. We are going to move to Miskatonic University. Or do we move to the south side? Because I think you can... There's a possibility you can get an ally. But we don't... We've got all the spells we need. So I'm going to just move forward with getting... So we'll move to Miskatonic University. There we go. It's a 4-shroud location. You can look at the top 6 cards of your decks for a tome or a spell card and add it to your hand. I don't feel like we're really... There's nothing... I mean, there are things in there, but I think I'm more interested in drawing to the flame. So that's what we're going to do. So our first action is that. Our second action is to play Drawn to the Flame. So Drawn to the Flame, draw the top card of the encounter deck. Let's do that. Oh boy. Then discover 2 clues at your location. Oh no. 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 Things are starting to go awry already. Test 4. I've got no way of testing it. And we get a -1. So we fail. We take. And we go back to Rivertown. That. And of course we discover 2 clues at this location. There are no clues at that location. Okay, we will move back to Miskatonic University for next time. That of the 2 cards to get, it had to be that one. So there we go. That was a real pain in the nothing. So things have been going a bit wrong. First of all, we got a Crypt Chill and we lost our Holy Rosary. Then we moved to Miskatonic University for our first action. We then played Drawn to the Flame. We then, Wings of Darkness took us back to Rivertown, so we didn't find any clues. And now we've moved back to Miskatonic University to try that again. That was really, sorry. I shouldn't get annoyed, but that's just the way it goes in the investigator games. Oh, boy. Okay, so we move into the enemy phase. No enemies to speak of. So we move into upkeep. We get another resource. We draw a card. And what do we draw into? Of course, there we draw into Paranoia. Of course we do. Discard all of your resources. Okay, well, that's not too bad. But, I mean, it just means we get a crappy draw. But anyway, we've gotten rid of one of our weaknesses, so that's something. So things have gone from going reasonably well to going pretty crappy, actually. So that was pretty awful. I hope that's the worst of it. Let's move into the Mythos phase. So we're up here in turn 5 for Doom. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And the encounter deck has Mysterious Chanting. Place 2 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Okay, so this means we really do have to deal with Ruth Turner now, because if we don't, the agenda will flip next time. So, hello. Let's just highlight those. Yep. Let's move to here. And let's put those on Ruth Turner. Okay. So, I mean, that just means we just can't mess around. We just got to deal with her. Place 2 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy if they're in a... Okay. All right. Okay, well, that's really kind of focused at the mind a little bit, hasn't it? So let's not, we could use Drawn to the Flame right now, but I don't want things to go haywire again. Let's just go and deal with Ruth Turner. So we will move to the Hostable. We will move to St. Mary's. Flip that over. 2 Shroud, 1 Clue. We can heal 3 damage here, which is nice. So Ruth Turner is now engaged with us. She's 2 and a 4. So we have to successfully shrivel her twice. She's a 2 and we're a 5, so I think we just go ahead. So shriveling, that's the first thing we'll do. 2 versus 5, -3 or better. Chaos Bag is a -1. So, and we don't take any horror from that, so she takes 2 damage. There we go. Very nice. We will do it again. We will shrivel her once again. Let's see. So it's a 2 versus a 5, and we get a -2, so we're successful. It's great. So the doom is allayed, and we get our first victory point from Ruth Turner, and the crowd goes wild. Fantastic. Okay, so that's our turn. So the thing we've got to think about is that the Masked Hunter will be on us after next turn, so we need to prepare for that. I think we're kind of okay, although we're down to 2 shriveling. But we've got to think about what we might do next time. I'm thinking we could either move to Miskatonic and do a Drawn to the Flame and get the 2 clues, which might be worthwhile. Or there's a clue here and there's a clue here, but it might be to move, get the 2 clues, bring out another cultist. Might be the thing. If we get Peter Warren, though, things could get very nasty very quickly, but we'll see how we go. Okay. All right. That's the end of the investigation phase. So we move into the enemy phase. There are enemies to speak of. So we move into upkeep. We get a resource. We draw a card. What do we draw into? Another flashlight. Not really what we need, but anyway. Okay. All right. So let's move into the Mythos phase. So let's shift back up to here. So we are now in turn 6. 5 Doom on the table. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us, and it has, if you have no clues, I don't. False lead gains surge. Okay, let's see what we get. And we get Hunting Shadow. This is what I mean. You must either spend a clue or take 2 damage. We have no clues, so we take 2 damage. That is, we're going to have to heal ourselves. Thankfully, we're at the hospital. So this can happen in Midnight Masters. You can end up ratcheting up your damage relatively quickly. So that's also going to change things now. All right. Okay, so let's move into the investigation phase. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we need to avail ourselves of the hospital's facilities. We need to heal 3 damage once per game. So we're going to do that first. We're going to heal 3 damage. First thing. We've got two actions that we can do. So we could either get the clue from here. Now, the Masked Hunter, we've only got 1 head willpower. So I'm thinking I might draw a card. I'm just trying to prepare myself for the Masked Hunter. So I think I'm going to draw a card. Astral Travel. Move to any revealed location and reveal a random token from the Chaos Bag. If you reveal that, you must discard an item or if you cannot to take damage. Well, that's kind of quite handy, but I might need it for the willpower. So that was, yep. And I might, do I take a resource or do I draw another card? I might, see, it's because we don't have the Holy Rosary and I want to make sure. So what I might do is I might draw another card. I know you shouldn't draw the cards on your final, but I'm going to risk it for a biscuit. Put Anger Spirits into your threat area. Okay. All right. So as a fast action trigger, we can move 1 charge from an asset to Angered Spirits. And when the game ends, if there are fewer than 4 charges, you suffer a physical trauma. I mean, it's okay, whatever. Yeah, it's more annoying that we didn't draw into a good card, but that's all our weaknesses now drawn. So, okie dokie. Let's move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of, so let's move into upkeep. We take a resource, we draw another card, and we draw into. That's a good card to get, Manual Dexterity, which means that we can do some evasion if we need to. Very nice. So that's okay. That's good, because we might need to evade and then bring out Shriveling or something like that. Anyway, let's see how we go. Okay, so that's the end of the upkeep phase. Yes, so we move into the Mythos phase. Let's shift up here. We are now in turn 7. And there it is. There's the 6 doom. So that goes down to 0. So the agenda jack flips. And yes, here he is. The good old Mars Hunter is upon us. He's, let's see, he's 4/6/2. So he's fairly easy to evade. You can't discover or spend clues while he's engaged with you. So I think we want to take this guy on. So we'll probably try and shrivel him and then evade. I think that's the way we're going to do it. And then we can, or do we? Yes. I'm trying to think about this because we've got. Yeah. Because we've got this thing. Oh no, we can. No, he's 6 because it's going to take at least 3 shriveling to do that. So we need to use our shriveling that we've got, and then we need to evade. Well, what we really need to is evade and then play shriveling, but we can't do all of that. So we're going to have to. I mean, he's only a 2, so we can probably get away with trying to evade. If we have to take some damage from him, then we do. Anyway, let's see how we go. All right, but that's not all, because that's literally just to bring him out. Time is running short. The minutes pass quickly as your investigation continues. Resign. So we've now got 8 turns left, or we might. Hopefully, we will. Let's see what the encounter deck has. It's got another Crypt Chill, so I don't think we need to worry about this because we literally have no assets on the table. Well, I haven't had Crypt Chill. I'd even forgotten Crypt Chill. We've had so few Crypt Chills that I'd forgotten it was on. So test 4, if you fail, discard an asset you control. If you cannot take 2 damage. Oh, no. I don't want to use up my willpower, so I'm just going to go ahead and just see. Hopefully we'll pass it. And of course we don't. So we take 2 damage. Wow. That is bad. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Wow, Crypt Chill. I didn't think Crypt Chill would be a problem, and it has become a problem. We've had really bad draws with Crypt Chill. That was an auto fail, so thank God I didn't commit anything to it. Okay, let's move into the investigation phase. Okay, so here we are. I think it's pretty clear what we're going to do here. First action, we are going to shrivel the Masked Hunter. So he is a 4 and we are a 5, but let's throw in Astral Travel and make that a 6. A 6 versus a 4. 6 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a 0 and we succeed. So we do 2 points. That's a good start. Second action, we are going to shrivel again. And I am going to use, because I think the only willpower thing we have is Drawn to the Flame, so I am going to use that. Shrivel him again, so that's a 6 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a -1, so that's 4 points of damage. Great. Okay, so we've just got 2 more points of damage, but we are out now. Shriveling is out and done. So I think the best thing to do with our final action is we could do two things. We could play... No, we can't play our next shriveling. We don't have enough cash. So, yeah, let's throw in manual dexterity. We need to pass this. So we are now a 5 versus a 2 on evasion. 5 versus a 2, and we get a -1. We're getting some good draws. I'm going to just... I'm not going to put him back because... Yeah, I'm just going to put... All right, I'm just going to put him here. Evaded. And we draw a card, I think. Yeah. Oh, nice. Good card. Unexpected courage. That's perfect. So that means we can throw that in to do. So what we need to do is we've got to try and evade him again. And then shrivel him. So it's a little bit fraught, but hopefully we should be able to. Okay. All right. So that's not too bad. That went reasonably well. We got in 2 lots of shriveling. I wonder if we should have moved. Too late. I'm wondering whether we should have moved away. No, we couldn't move away. Of course we couldn't, because we had to evade him. All right. So what am I talking about? So what we did was we shriveled him twice successfully. We then successfully evaded him using manual dexterity and drew into an unexpected courage. So things are going reasonably well. We just have to get 2 more hits onto him, and we're done. So hopefully that will happen. Yeah. So we move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies that are able to do anything to us. So we move into upkeep. So we get another resource. We draw another card, and we draw into another knife. Oh, we've... oh, boy. Anyway. And we reset these. That's weird. I've never seen that before. Oh. When you press the H button, it puts your cards sort of further down. Hide. Hide. Okay. Flip. Okay. We get 3 resources, but unfortunately the Masked Hunter is back onto us. There we go. Okay. So that's the end of the upkeep phase. So we move into the Mythos phase. Here we go. We're in turn 8. First Doom is down in the final gender phase. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. Please be something. Not again. No. Spend a clue. I don't have. Take 2 damage. Oh my goodness. This is really bad. We can't afford to take a hit from the Masked Hunter, because if we do, we are dead. Wow, that is really critical now. Okay. Okay. So we move into the investigation phase. So here we are. So the first thing we need to do is we've got to get a shriveling down on the table, and we cannot take an attack of opportunity. So we have to evade the Masked Hunter. Now I could use my unexpected courage to evade him, but I want to use my unexpected courage to shrivel him. So what I'm probably going to try and do is, first of all, try and evade him just straight up 3v2. If that doesn't work, then I'm definitely going to use my unexpected courage to evade him and then move. I think that's the course of action, and then we'll get the shriveling out, the other shriveling out. The other more conservative would be to, yeah, let's do that. Let's see how we go. Okay, so first action, 3v2 on evasion. Chaos Bag is -2, so we fail. So that doesn't work. So second action, we will seek to evade him again using unexpected courage. So we are now a 5v2. 5v2. Oh no, 5v2. I think we're okay. That's a -3. If you fail, we didn't. Okay, so 5, wasn't it? 2, 5, -3 is 2. Yes, so we managed to evade. Whew. Wow. Draws have been really really when they've countered. Now, we could spend the 3 and bring out the shriveling. I think we do that. So we will, final action, we will spend the 3. And we will bring out the shriveling. Hold on. Oh, what's going on? Let's put that away. Let's bring that out. We get an extra one. Okay. So, yes. So next time we can. So I've been a bit riskier here because we could have moved away, but instead I'm assuming we can shrivel him in the times that we have. Okay. So we move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of. So we move into upkeep. So the Masked Hunter is back on us. There he is. We take a resource and we draw a card. Ah, yes. Yes. All right. Things are looking really good now. Okay, that was a good draw. Oh, this has been such a roller coaster ride. I can't tell you. Oh my goodness. Okay, and we'll flip these over. So we are ready to kill this Masked Hunter. So I forgot to say in the last thing we did pretty well. We failed to evade. Then we evaded the Masked Hunter. And then we brought out shriveling, and we've got 5 charges, and then we've just drawn into guts. So I think we're in a good place to take out the Masked Hunter and get 2 victory points. But before we do that, of course, there's the Mythos phase, which of course we're in turn 9 already. There are 2 down. Oh my goodness. Oh boy, there's just never enough time. I don't know how people beat the Midnight Masks. It's so difficult. But anyway. Okay, let's see what the encounter deck has for us. The encounter deck has an Acolyte. Well, that's not too bad. I'm thinking, because I have no more drawn to the flames, let's put the Acolyte in the south side, and we can go after him and get the clue from there. Get the clue from there, and we can also take him out. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's the end of the Mythos phase. Let's move into the investigation phase. We have 3 actions. Let's get rid of this. Masked Hunter. So we will, of course, shrivel again. I think I've been keeping track of the horror. But anyway, I think I haven't been getting... Anyway, so and we're going to throw in the guts. So that gives us a 5, a 7 versus a 4, which is a -3 or better. Chaos Back gives us... Wow. -3, is that right? 5, 7. -3 is 4. We just did it. Wow. So the Masked Hunter dies. And the crowd, and it's hello. That's another in the victory display, and the crowd goes wild. Yeah, so now we have 2 cultists in the victory display. That is fantastic. That is brilliant. Now, not only that, but because of that, we draw a card, and we draw into another perception. Okay, we've got lots and lots of perception cards. So that's great. So that was fantastic. I am, yeah. Okay. So that was our first action. For our second action, I'm going to go ahead. I can't heal damage again, unfortunately, but what I can do is investigate. So this is a 2 shroud location. So let's do this again. So that gives us a 4. That gives us a 5. So that's a 5 versus a 2. 5v2. Chaos Bag gives us a -2. So we succeed, but we put a doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Is there a... I don't think there are any. Oh, yes, there are. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we get the clue, but a doom goes down on the nearest cultist enemy, so he's got 2 dooms on him. That's fine. We can deal with him next time. So there we go. That was also... that means we draw a card. And I just realized we got a -3, didn't we, when we did the shriveling? So I should have taken a horror for that. I keep forgetting about that. But we do draw a card because of perception. We get another unexpected courage, which is great. So final action, we can't move and at the moment because we don't want the Acolyte to hit us. So, and we don't have to worry about weaknesses. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to draw another card. And we get another 6 cents, which we don't need. Okay, so that was reasonably good. We got the Mouse Hunter. We successfully investigated and drew an unexpected courage. And then we just drew another card. Now I'm just wondering whether I transfer... I'd have to use... The problem with this is that I have to use all of my... I'm just going to have to wear a physical trauma because I don't want to use these up. I'm going to need them. Particularly Wolfman Drew comes up. So we move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of. So we move into upkeep. So we get another resource. We draw another card. And we draw into Uncage the Soul. Play a spell or ritual card from your hand, reducing its cost by 3. Well, but it's a double willpower, so that's great. We can use it for that. Okay, let's just flip these over. Nice. Okay, so let's move into the Mythos phase. Let's shift up. We're running out of time. We're in turn 10. We're already 3 doom. So if we can get one more cultist, Herman would be perfect. That would be great. So anyway, let's see what we get from the encounter deck. And we get a locked door. Attach the location with the most clues. Oop. That would be Miskatonic University, which we tried to get the clues from, but it just didn't work. So there's a... Yeah. It's just... so we remember. There's a locked door on there. So we won't be going there anyway. We won't be getting those. So, all right. That's fine. Okay, so let's move into the investigation phase. Okay, 3 actions. First action, pretty easy what we're going to do. We're going to move to south side. What do we get? Mars Boarding House. We get Mars Boarding House. Search your deck for an ally asset and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Very nice. Not that we really need that right now. What we really need is more cultists. So here we go. That was our first action. Second action, we're going to attack and shrivel the Acolyte. So he's a 3 and we are a 5, but I'm going to make that a 7. So that's a 7 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a skull, so -2, so we succeed and we kill the Acolyte. And for our final action, we will we'll investigate. So for our final action, we will investigate. So what are we looking at here? This is a Shroud of 2. So a Shroud of 2 using 6 cents, we are a 5. I think we just go ahead and do that. 5v2, 0, we succeed. So we get the clue from here. So we've got the 2 clues. So next time we can spend those 2 clues, get out another cultist, and hopefully we can deal with that cultist, and we can get ourselves another victory point. I'm afraid that I think we're going to have to just take the physical trauma here. I don't think well, there's much we can do about that. So we move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of. So we move into upkeep. I don't think there are any enemies to speak of. No, there's no enemies to speak of. So we move into upkeep. We'll flip those over. We will take a resource and we will draw another card. And we draw into a scrying. Now that's one way we could bring out scrying. So you could do these things. We could bring out scrying But where would we put scrying? Because we've got 6 cents. Do we need 6 cents anymore? We could use that to put charges onto the angered spirits. So maybe that might be worth doing. Yeah, maybe. Depends what we get as a cultist as well. I mean, if we don't get Wolfman Drew, then maybe we can schlock off the shrivelings as well, because it's really Wolfman Drew that we would need the shriveling for, maybe. Okay. So that's the end of the upkeep phase. So we will move in to the mythos phase. So we're in turn 11. We're halfway through now. We've only got 4 turns left. Let's see what the good old encounter deck has. And it has Mysterious Chanting, 2 doom on the nearest cultist enemy. I don't think there are any cultist enemies. There are not. So I think it gets... Oh no. If there are, search the encounter deck and discard deck for a cultist enemy and draw it. So, yeah, so we basically, where is he? He's back. Okay. Well, that just, okay. Where should we put him? We're going to need to deal with him. Probably put him in Rivertown because, Miskatonic. It depends on which cultist we get. If we get Herman, then Rivertown will be ideal. If it's... Well, we could get Peter, and I don't want 2 on there, so let's just put him on Rivertown. Yes. Let's find a doom for him. There we go. Okay, so that's just something else that we have to do. Right. So we're in the investigation phase. First action, let's throw in the clues. Really want it to be Herman Collins. Okay, let's shift up to here. Let's shuffle the pile. Who do we get? Oh no, we get Victoria Devereaux. Okay. So she's up in Northside. So, and we need 5 resources for her. We've got 3. So, yeah, if we go and get rid of the cultist and then move up, we'll deal with that. So let's just go ahead and do that. So let's move up to Rivertown, moving in the right direction. And let's deal with this cultist. This is a bit critical. I just realized it's really critical that we get this, because if we don't kill this cultist in this time, we are going to die. So, yes, we are a 5-3. I'm going to make sure we absolutely pass this and throw in the unexpected courage. So that's going to give us a 7 versus a 3. So that's a -4 or better. So if we auto fail, we are dead. Chaos Bag gives us a 0. Okay. And we kill the cultist. There we go. Woo! That was a bit too close for comfort. So there we go. That was our turn. So what did we do again? We got another clue. We brought out Ruth Turner. And then we spent the 2 clues. That's right. We brought out Ruth Turner. We then moved, and then we killed the cultist, and we survived to go another day. All right, there are no enemies to speak of, so we move into upkeep phase. So we now have 4 resources, which is good for Ruth Turner. We draw another Uncage the Soul, which is very nice, in case we need it. And we flip that, so we're all ready to roll. So we move into the Mythos phase. So now we're in turn 12. There are now 5 doom down. Like, if we get Ruth Turner, it's possible we could also get the clues from Northside. If we manage to do both of those things, we are doing really, really well. So that's what we're going to be aiming for in our next couple of turns. But before we do all of that, of course, that could all be because we get another Acolyte. Of course we do. Didn't we just get rid of one of these guys? Yeah. Oh no. And then okay. Let's put him on Miskatonic University, because otherwise that would then mean this turn 6. So how many resources? Because we could ignore them. No, I've only got 4 resources. So I think the best thing to do is kill the Acolyte, and then we are ready to deal with Victoria Devereaux next time. I think that's the best thing to do. We've got the Uncage the Soul, so we should easily be able to deal with this Acolyte. I think we can't afford to be losing whole turns, because otherwise then we couldn't move and get Victoria Devereaux straight away anyway. The other way would be to move and to shrivel her, would be the other method, but that wouldn't work either. So I think this is the best course of action. Okay, so we'll move into the investigation phase. Oh, I suppose... No. Okay. So I was going to say we could take a resource, but then we couldn't move and deal with Ruth Turner. So no. Okay. So first action, we will move to Miskatonic University. So we're heading in the right direction. We will engage with the Acolyte, of course. Second action, we will shrivel the Acolyte. So that gives us a 7 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a -1, so we again succeed again. And we've got 1 action left before we move to North Side. This here locked door means that this is actually we'd have to break it down with a fight, which I don't want to have to do. So maybe... Oh no, we need the... Oh no, we'll get a... No, we need the other resource. So maybe we draw a card, because we've got no more weaknesses. So I'm going to draw a card, and we get a guts. Great. That's really good. Okay. All right, so that was our actions. We basically moved, fought, and drew a card. We drew into a guts. So next time we will have our 5 resources after upkeep. We can deal with Victoria Devereaux. Keep calling Ruth Turner. There are no enemies to speak of, I don't think. Nope. Okay, so let's move into the upkeep phase. So we now have our 5 resources. We draw another card, and we draw into the Arcane Initiate, which I suppose gives us a bit of a soak if we needed it, but it kind of feels like it's too late now. So let's move into the Mythos phase. So we're up here. We're now in turn 13. There are 6 Doom down. We literally have 2 turns left. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And it has Obscuring Fog. So we're getting a couple of hospital passes. That's good. Wow. Miskatonic University has locked doors and Obscuring Fog. That's hilarious. It's weird that Miskatonic University... Is it just me, or does Miskatonic University seem to get a lot of these? It's at least in the games I'm playing anyway. So there we go. So we won't be getting the clues from Miskatonic University, and we've used up all our Drawns to the Flame, so as we saw. So okay, so that's fine. So we move into the investigation phase. Here we go. This is pretty straightforward what we're going to do here. So we are, first of all, we are going to move to North Side. So that flips over. It's 3 Shroud, 2 clues. We get Victoria Devereaux is engaged with us. So we moved. Our second action is to spend our 5 resources. Hello. And there we go. We can add her to the victory display, and the crowd goes wild. Okay, we've got one final action. What do we do for our final action? Maybe take a resource. Because it would be good to get Scrying out, because then we can probably do this Angered Spirits. but we don't need a resource. We could draw another card. Because we can't play scrying because we've used our Uncage the Souls. There's nothing we can play. Do we need anything else? I don't think so. So I'm going to take a resource. So we've got extra resources. So, and then I'm going to, in fact, do this. I'm going to, because you have to exhaust it. And I'm going to move one of the charges onto Angered Spirits. I'm going to try and do that. So that was our, anyway. Okay, so that's our go. So we moved up to north side. Oh, we could have investigated, couldn't we? Oh, we've still got time to do that. So, should I have investigated? Well, how many goes have we got? We've got 2 turns, I think. Yeah, so we should be okay. All right. Let's move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of, so let's move into upkeep. So shriveling is back. We better keep one shriveling at the moment, just in case. Let's get a resource. Let's draw a card. We draw into emergency cash. Now emergency cash appears. Probably too late for that, although I think, oh, you can get 2 clues, can't you? Yeah, but it's probably too late for that, I would have thought. Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of the upkeep phase. Let's move into the mythos phase. So we are now in turn 14. There are 7 doom. This is the last. This is the last. Yeah. Okay, let's see what the encounter deck has for us. And now it gives us a hunting night gaunt. Now we get the hunting night gaunt. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we move into the investigation phase. We have 3 actions, and literally we've got 3 actions left. So what do we do with our 3 actions? Well, what we could do is evade, and so we could evade and get the victory points, but then it's past midnight. Let's try that. I think we're just gonna have to wear the Angered Spirits. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have 1 trance. If this doesn't work, then we'll just resign. So we've got to evade the Hunting Night Gaunt. It's a 1 versus a 3. I don't think we have any other way. We don't. 1 versus 3. Chaos Bag gives us an Elder Sign. So we succeed, and for our add 1 charges to an asset. Is this an asset? No, it's not. So we can put another charge on the shriveling. The Hunting Night Gaunt is evaded. There we go. So I think now we just try and get these 2 clues. So it's a Shroud of 3. So second action, and I know it will put us past midnight, but I think it's better to get the thing. So it's a Shroud of 3, and we are a 5. We can make that a 7. A 7 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a -4. So we're a 7. -4, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. 3 versus 3. We succeed just. We get the first clue from north side. Okay. We get to draw a card. Oh, now we get the Ward of Protection. And we'll do it again. Now, we can either do a 5, 6, a 6 versus a 3. Now we can make it a 7 versus a 3. Or we can do a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. So we'll throw these in. So it's another 7v3. Chaos Bag gives us a skull, which is a success. So we get the second clue from North Side. So there we go. We get the 2 clues, which means that we get another victory point for North Side. Crag goes wild. Yes. And there we go. So that's our investigation phase. We move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies, so we move into upkeep. We'll flip these. We'll take a resource. We'll draw a card. Now we get this one. That would have been nice. Okay, and yes, so that's the end of the upkeep phase. So we move into the Mythos phase. Turn 15, 8 Doom. That's it. The 12 bells ring out across the town. It's midnight. There's no time left to investigate the city. You must act based on the information you've collected from the cultists you have found. There we go. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. 15 turns. We got 3 cultists. So we got, and 5 victory points. So a pretty good run for Akachi. Things started really, really well, but as usual in the Midnight Masks, we were going to get the Drawn to the Flame, and then we drew, which took it on that, and then from there on things got really difficult. We had some difficult moments, but we managed to get a reasonable number of cultists. We got 3 of the cultists, and we got 5 victory points. So she did pretty well. She did take a physical trauma, of course, that she will have to wear into the next scenario. But all in all, she did really, really well. So if you look at the end of this video, you'll see how she's gone in the table, where Roland, of course, is topping the table at the moment. So next time in the Investigator Games, we will be running through the Midnight Masks with the... with William Yorick. Yes, William Yorick, everybody's favourite gravedigger and actor. And we'll see how he goes in the Investigator Games. But until then, I'm Krabby Terror 8. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.